Hello students, and welcome to this video for Publisher exercise number 10. We're going to be covering a couple of new skills here, and then of course reviewing some ones we've been using throughout as well. You can see I have a picture here of a font that you could download. This is one called Survivant. It's supposed to be similar to the one they use for the TV show Survivor. And maybe you have an interest of, maybe you are making a flyer for some kind of event that's related to something that uses a certain font. Maybe it's a certain product or something like that associated with it. And so there's a lot of options you can choose to download or you can set in Publisher. And so we've been using color schemes all throughout. If I go to page design, you can see all my color schemes are over here. We select those when we choose a template. And there's also a font choice as well. And then of course we have been using layout. So if I were to change the template, I can choose which one I want, and then of course I have here the layout that I can choose. So specifically the tear off, sometimes it's referred to as, or just layout, depending on the font, the template you use. So we're going to be looking more at that with those. So color scheme is basically pre-selected colors. That's what we've been doing there with it when we look at the exact definition. And of course layout is how those things are arranged on our page. Now the one thing that we haven't really touched on yet, we've touched on the other ones, is you can make your own color scheme and you can also make your own font scheme. So if I go up here to the schemes, color schemes here, I click the more button, I can go all the way down to the bottom and choose create new color scheme. And you have a lot of different options here. So there's main, accent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can choose hyperlinks as well. And so it'll show you a sample of it. You can do that with the color scheme. You can also do that with fonts. Maybe you want it to be a certain font with italics and something like that. So you can choose create new font scheme and make your own, choosing the font style, heading font, body font, and you can see they've set it up here for this one, and then naming it. So we're going to be doing more of that today. And the reason why this is useful is because, say you don't want to just use what you see in the templates, you want to use something for each flyer you make that's specific for you guys to make you stand out. You can create your own scheme and just reuse it over and over and over again. So it's very useful for you if you're going to be making multiple publications for a certain thing. Alright, let's get to the actual part of the exercise. We need to open up Pub 10. You should have downloaded this file from online already. So I'm going to go to my downloads folder, Pub 10. Of course, go down to the bottom. And here's my Pub 10 file. I'm going to choose Open. And first thing we need to do is we need to save it as 10geo underscore initials. So File, Save As, make sure you're saving to the right folder. It's going to go to downloads if you don't choose the right folder, or where the folder was in, I should say. Maybe you don't have it in downloads. So I got to go to documents, of course my demonstration folder here, and we're going to be naming it 10geo underscore your initials. It's crazy to think we're on exercise 10 already. So 10geo underscore your initials. I'm going to choose save. Now it does say we need to change the layout to include a graphic and a tear-off coupon. So the way we change our layout, we already made our publication. We have the option to still change it. We go to Page Design tab, and over on the far left we have Change Template. And this is where we can choose to change our layout. Also too as well, we do have our layout box here, and there's guides of what you can choose for ruler guides and things like that. But otherwise, over here is where we change the template. Now it says we do need to include a graphic and a tear-off coupon. So we're going to click on arrows here because it looks like we may have to choose a specific one. Yeah, it says experiment with the other layout options. So let's click on arrows. And then what we're going to do is for our tear-offs option, we're going to choose none. And then for our oh yes, and we're going to check include graphic right here. So we need to include a graphic. Oh, excuse me. And oh, okay, I see what's going on here. They basically have us choose to include tear-offs and then not include it. So this is where you would change it. We're not going to waste time going and changing it if they're going to do that. So let's actually just click cancel. So those are the options you can look at if you want to change it. Now that says try several different publication designs. We're not going to take the time to do that. Just keep in mind if you want to change them, they're over here. Now what we do need to do is we are going to be making a new color scheme. So you can play around with the color schemes if you want to. Click up here, check them out. You can see lots of options. But we are going to make a new one, and we're going to call it or excuse me, we're going to not make a new one just yet. We are going to use Tropics. So I'm going to click on the more arrow. It should hopefully be alphabetical order. So you can see the second list we have here is in alphabetical order. Tropics is down here in the letter T. So let's click on Tropics. Then we're going to create a new color scheme based on Tropics. That's what it is. So let's click on the more arrow. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go and click on create new color scheme. You can see it's using all the colors right now that we are getting from Tropics. So it says change the accent 1 color in the color scheme to green. So here's green right here. You can see we changed that. And then also it says to save this color scheme right down here, get rid of custom 1, and we're going to change it to green Tropics. Green Tropics, and save. So you'll notice it just changed this bar up here. It changed accent 1. Now you can try several different font schemes. So if you want to go through here and choose a different font scheme, that's completely fine. But we're going to be moving here on to the next step. It says set the font scheme to industrial. Industrial. So it should be alphabetical order. Sometimes it's a little bit out of order. It looks like industrial is not there in the list. So that means typically we got to go down. There's usually a couple of lists there. So I'm in the built-in classic, and we'll go down here. So, and here is impact and industrial right here. So I click on that, industrial, and then it says delete the following elements. It says delete the black circle and the text within it. Now some of this may not reflect what we have here. So what I'm going to do is let's click here first. Let's adjust this to best fit so we can actually read and see it. This looks fine here. This looks fine here. Let's go to the next one. Okay, now we can actually read what we're looking at. Okay, it says here to get rid of the describe your location box, and it looks like all these things it's telling us to get rid of, they already did with the different updates. So, yes. So we actually don't have to delete the elements that we would need to for this exercise, so that's good. We're moving on here to the next step. Set the text box contain calendar events to Autofit. We already did that, best fit, so right click, best fit. And then it says enlarge it to fill the available space. So what we do need to do with this, let's grab the top part, drag it up here a little bit to the pink line. You can see it fills it in better. And then also too, we can bring this down here to the pink line like this, and that looks better. Alright, so this is how it's going to look for this file. Let's save it again, and we can move on to our next one. So choose file, close, because this next part of the exercise we don't actually make a file, or excuse me, we don't have a file downloaded, we make one. It says to start publisher if necessary. Well, we did. Click file, and we're going to choose new publisher or new publication, except we're doing it using one of the business cards templates. So let's click built-in, and you can see if you look at the B section, banners, brochures, and business cards. So you're going to select one of these. There's arrows, there's bounds, all those different ones. I'm going to go with photoscope. There's also more down here that you could choose from. So go ahead and pick one. And for our settings for the layout, it says include logo. We're going to choose not to. And then also for orientation, we're going to choose portrait. So portrait is up and down. Landscape is left and right. It says choose your own business information set for the publication. So we already have that one. Change it to a different color scheme. So I have it at Lagoon. I'm going to go and pick a different one. I'm going to go with, we'll go retro here, Office 2007 to 2010. And then of course choose a different font scheme. So right now it's on Galley. I'll choose a different one. We'll go for, I won't do monograms just so you can actually read. I'll go with offset. So we did that. So color scheme, font scheme, our business information, all that. And we should be at a point here to go ahead and create. So this is what our business card looks like so far. Now obviously it looks gigantic on our screen, but really it's only 2 inches going this way and then 3 inches, well, maybe 4 going this way, 3 3/4 about. It does say to change the landscape orientation from the options. So it does want us to practice it. So we click page design and then we have orientation, and we can just switch it here to landscape like this, and it will switch the business card for us in our layout. You could always click change template here and choose landscape like that. And then of course it says we need to print a sheet of business cards. So here we're going to actually get to practice doing it. First, let's save our file so we know what the name is for it. So I'm going to press Control S to save. I'm going to go to the folder I need to save it to. You're going to go to your flash drive folder, wherever it needs to be. 10 cards underscore your initials. So 10 cards underscore your initials. Save it. And then we're going to choose to print a sheet of them. So I'm going to hold down Control and push B. You can see it automatically arranges it for me. I could change how many copies I want on each page. Right now it's set to 10. And of course this is set up. We really don't need to tweak this one per se at the moment. You can choose different ways to do it. Lots of options we'll get into later. You're going to click print, and of course you're going to choose the right folder. It's already there. And then I'm going to put down 10 cards underscore your initials. So that is how you complete this exercise. Let me bring up the folder here quickly for you so you can see. So for exercise number 10, you are going to be submitting 3 files. 2 for cards, one's the publisher file, one's a PDF, and then of course the publisher file for Geo as well. Thank you for following along, and move on to the next exercise if necessary.